Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the WrestlePlug YouTube channel. Tonight is NWA 73. Fear not, I have just finished watching NWA in Power. I will be covering that and reviewing it for the podcast. That will probably be dropping either late Sunday, early Monday, so keep your eyes on the channel for that, because that was an amazing pay-per-view and it's definitely worthy of our coverage, definitely worthy of my time, and hopefully the review will be worthy of your time. But NWA 73 is tonight the 73rd anniversary of, frankly, the most underappreciated and underrated wrestling organisation in the world right now, if you ask me. So let's get to it. There's 8 matches on the card for tonight. So, prediction time. Give you a little bit of thoughts as I go through, and hopefully this will give you a little bit of an appetiser and just that extra little nudge to go to Fight TV and buy NWA 73, which will be tonight. I believe it's $20, $25. Check it out. Very reasonable. You know, if you've got the cash, obviously. If you haven't, then unfortunately, I'm sure highlights and whatnot will be around. And of course, we will be reviewing this show as well. We may even just do both of them as a package to make things easier for you. Completely up to you guys. But let us know in the comments below what kind of predictions you have and who you think is going to come away from this as a champion and who may possibly come away from this with no longer a career. So let's get to it, starting with, there's a battle royal to determine the #1 contender to the NWA National Championship. The National Championship is kind of like, it's a bit like their US title, so to speak. This is a difficult one to call because obviously I'm looking at the lineup. There's no actual, well, right now, there's no kind of list of wrestlers. So I've got to kind of make a random prediction. That's very difficult when I have no clue who's going to be going after it. Wouldn't surprise me if we got a couple of surprises. Maybe an AEW guy. He's been in the company before. So I'm going to take a long shot and say Colt Cabana comes into this, because he is a former national champion as well. It's complete hyperbole from my end, but I'll go with Colt Cabana. But it could literally be anybody. Absolutely anybody. 6-man tag team match. Tyrus, the Virus, some people might recognise him as the Dancing Dinosaur from WWE. The Master Man and Jordan Clearwater. They'll have Austin Idol at ringside with them to face The Pope and The End, which of course is ODINSON and PARROW. Really like PARROW, so for that reason I'm going to go with The Pope. And also I just don't like Tyrus really. I've heard a lot of his very controversial opinions, not really my cup of tea. I've always found him very boring as well, to be honest. I'm sure if he was here right now, he'd call me a cunt and try and knock me out, but I don't care. He has a very iffy reputation. A lot of people I've spoken to aren't big fans of him. Like you say, he's had quite inflammatory views about women and other things in the past. I'm going to go with the Pope's team, just because, you know, why not? And also, I feel like those guys could do with a push more. Would really like to see PARROW in a really strong position in NWA. Not just because of his sexual orientation, because he's incredibly fucking talented. Representation is always important, but talent should always come before representation as far as I'm concerned. And PARROW is genuinely one of the better powerhouses left on the independent scene as well as wrestling as a whole. So hopefully he's going to have the best outing of everyone in this match. Tom Latimer versus Crimson versus Tim Storm. Brawl in the Loo. I assume that means it's going to be a street fight, last man standing kind of shenanigans, something of that sort of region. I expect this to be a lot of fun. I'm going to pick Thomas Latimer just because I really like Bram, obviously CWP alumni amongst other things. I think he gets a bad rap. Obviously he's aligned himself with Camille. I love the faction as well that they've got going on at the moment. For me, I just feel like Crimson, great, don't really care. Tim Storm, legend in his own right, but getting up there in the years now, I feel like it's important for Tim Storm to help, you know, kind of parlay all of his great knowledge and advice and incredible experience into the other guys. So Thomas Latimer to pick up the win tonight, I think. Aaron Stevens and JR Kratos. They'll be defending the NWA World Tag Team Championships against La Rebellion, which is Bestia 666. And Mecha Wolf 450. It sucks. Because obviously Question Mark isn't here anymore. And when Question Mark passed away, Kratos kind of came in and filled that gap. And nobody's obviously going to take, question mark's place. But it just would have been nice. Such a big show with the spotlight really focused on NWA this weekend, and the world finally starting to reconnect with what is historically one of the greatest companies and one of the most important companies to North American wrestling history. It's just a shame that Question Mark himself isn't here to enjoy that. But obviously an incredible legacy for him, and I'm sure he'll get plenty of tributes and due respect during this pay-per-view, and especially during this match. Going to say the champions retain. Not a big fan of La Rebellion, from what I've watched of them. Talented, no question. I just don't enjoy them that much as a tag team, and I think it's not helped by the fact that obviously it's hard to root. I know Aaron Stevens is supposed to be an arsehole, but it's hard to root against him because he's just so fucking funny. And he's really made this role in NWA his own, and he's really rediscovered who he is as a wrestler, and he's so entertaining. And I just don't want to see him ever in a miserable lower position. Be interested to see what they can do with him if they do lose the tag titles, but I think they retain here. Chris Adonis puts the NWA National Championship on the line against a guy who's very familiar with that belt as well, and someone I'm very familiar with, James Storm, of course, TNA legend, Impact legend. I love James Storm. I really like Chris Adonis. He spent a lot of time over here wrestling for PCW, Preston Championship Wrestling, or Preston City Wrestling. It's one or the other, my apologies. It's been a long time, and it's obviously very late, and I'm burnt out this weekend as it is, but I'm soldiering on for the sake of the WrestlePlug. I really like Chris Adonis. You'll know him as Chris Masters from the WWE days. And he's really improved so much as a wrestler. I always thought he was great in WWE. Thought he had so much untapped potential. Apparently he had a lot of heat backstage for being arrogant kayfabe. So people actually believed his character enough. They were like, yo, fuck that guy. We don't want him to get pushed. Come on, man. He had a great little tag team going with Carlito as well. But he's changed so much now, and he's picked up so many titles, and like I say, he had a fantastic time over here, really helped bring a lot of representation, and do you know what, out of all the guys who have helped grow the British independent scene, no matter how difficult things might have been in the last couple of years, he is one of the guys that nobody gives any credit to for helping build up our independent scene and making it arguably the most vaunted one in all of Europe. I think James Storm wins the belt, though. I don't know why. I feel like they're going to lead to... Because obviously there's a little faction going on. You've got Chris Adonis, Thomas Latimer, Camille. There's that kind of, shady heel faction. I personally think they're going to lead to some dissent in that group. And that's going to lead to more dissent, obviously, with James Storm winning that championship. So maybe James Storm to pick up the belt tonight. And James Storm is obviously an amazing legend in his own right. But... I suppose the argument would be that Chris Adonis, despite being a veteran in his own right, should hold on to the belt a bit longer if you're looking to kind of elevate the younger champions and the younger talent. But I'm going to stick my neck out and say James Storm. The title versus career match is going to be an interesting one, it has to be said. The reason I've chosen this one is because I actually think that the women's title match is going to be the standout match. I really do believe that. And obviously, in keeping with what we've seen this week, I think it's great that we still got great focus on the women's wrestling. And we'll get that with the two matches that the women are participating in on this pay-per-view, Nick Aldis, the champion, defends against Trevor Murdoch. Obviously, you recognise Trevor Murdoch from WWE, possibly. No, I don't say that in the sense of, he was a much bigger star there, or whatever it might be. He tagged with Lance K, blah, blah, blah. It's more a case of, for the casual fan watching, I know a lot of you will be watching this and thinking, Trevor Murdoch, that might ring a bell. It's going to ring a bell most if you've seen him on the biggest platform there is, which, of course, is WWE. That's not me spitting hyperbole or being a WWE fanboy. That's just the facts. They're there for everybody to see. I think Nick Aldis wins here. I don't think it makes sense to derail one of the most iconic title runs in history for the £10 of gold just to continue Trevor Murdoch's career. Hopefully it's going to be a fantastic match. For me, Nick Aldis is what every single world champion in our business should aspire to be. I really believe that. He is incredibly good looking. He's in astonishing shape. He works harder than everybody else. He promos better than anybody else. He's just the best. He's one of the best wrestlers of the modern era, and yet nobody talks about him because they don't recognise the NWA World Title. I think it was like Pro Wrestling Illustrated or Wrestling Observer Newsletter. It might have been both came out and said that they don't recognise him as a legitimate world champion. well, you're fucking stupid then. Talk about journalistic integrity or journalistic credibility. You obviously have none. Fuck you. I think Nick Aldis retains the belt. I think it's going to be a very emotional time. I think Trevor Murdoch's going to work so hard. I expect this to obviously be the main event. But I think that, yeah, Nick Aldis, and I expect a surprise at the end of this. I think Nick Aldis and his gang are going to be lording over the fact that, you know, he's eliminated Trevor Murdoch, that he's sent him packing, no more career for Trevor Murdoch, and then maybe someone, maybe a big name arrives or comes down to challenge him and to push forward. Could possibly be one of the AEW gang, no idea. Would like to see someone maybe a little bit different. It's nice to see that the AEW women excelled as they did last night, and I'll talk about that more on the Empower review, but Nick Aldis to retain, I think. Mickie James versus Kylie Ray. I'm so excited about this match. I don't know why. I feel like this is one of the biggest matches on the card. Maybe it's because I haven't seen Mickie James wrestle for a little while, obviously being released from WWE and having such a shocking end to her run there, despite having so much credibility, because let's be honest, whether you want to say it or not, and it's not popular to say it, she was released because she's a bit older, but she's still so fine as hell. Please don't kill me, Nick Aldis. You know, she's just so timeless. You want to, you know, you hear that analogy. She's like a fine wine. He's like a fine wine. They just get better with age. Mickie James legitimately does. She's more beautiful. She's more talented. And she's more savvy. You know, everything that she did last night, she was the executive producer for that show, for Empower, and she did such an amazing job. Her and the ladies put together an astonishing evening of wrestling and broke down even more boundaries. Nobody needs to turn their nose up at Evolution or what TNA did before with the Knockouts division or what, you know, Mildred Burke did so long ago when she kick-started the proper women's Evolution. You know, people forget that. Very easy to forget, but NWA doesn't forget. But you can still recognise how special last night was without trampling on that too. They're all special, they're all important, so let's make sure they all get their love. I think Mickie James wins. I would personally like to see Kylie Ray win. Smiley Kylie is... Do you know what? If you can find a wrestler that brings more warmth and more kindness and genuine authenticity to the ring than her, I'd like to see it. You genuinely know and believe that she is a wonderful, wonderful, magical person. It just feels that way. I think Mickie James wins, though. Big return for her, because she didn't wrestle last night. I think that's a big deal as well, that she didn't work last night, because she could have easily come out and worked. You know, I would have personally loved to have been on that card, especially if I'd had a hand in it, and especially if I was a women's legend like Mickie James. So, credit to her for only working tonight. I think Mickie James wins, to be honest. And the last match, which is what I'm most excited about, actually, out of the whole card, is the Women's Championship, especially after what I saw last night between Camille and Legit Layla Hirsch. Camille retained her title, obviously. You'll know this if you're checking this in, because we've got to make a prediction for this. And if you don't, sorry if I spoiled it for you, but use your common sense. She'll be putting the belt on the line against Chelsea Green, who won the Invitational. Again, spoiler. I think Chelsea Green was the right person to win that. I think Chelsea Green has a genuine chance here of dethroning Camille, and I'm going to say that she does. I think Camille is physically, like, just from an image standpoint, from an aesthetic standpoint, the most impressive women's champion in the world. Like, just incredible. You know, Britt Baker has done amazing things, and he's a great champion, no doubt, but come on, look at Camille. Like, she just dominates everybody. She dwarfs everybody. You know, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, doesn't matter who you're talking about. I think Camille, from a image standpoint, from a striking standpoint, is just so beyond anything else we've ever seen. You know, she's called Brickhouse for a reason. She looks incredible. But I think she drops the belt to Chelsea Green. I think Chelsea Green is somebody... Chelsea Green's one of those women, those rare women who has everything. She's smouldering, sickly talented, and also incredibly good as a gimmick. Not many women can say they have that triple threat, and she does. I think she captures the NWA Women's Championship tonight. I also want to know what you guys think. Obviously, there's not much time, not much of a turnaround. We're trying to drop these as kind of like a little pre-show to warm you up for the actual pay-per-views. So let us know what you think about that. Or would you like us to go back? Please leave in the comments below. It'd be lovely to hear what you think. Let us know whether you think, oh, I'd like to have the prediction show a little bit earlier so I can digest it at my time. Or do you like the fact that we're releasing it as a kind of preview right before the pay-per-view so you've got something to warm you up for the main show itself? But either way, I'm really excited about NWA 73. I thought NWA and Power was a fantastic show. Really great watch. Definitely worth the money. So go back, check it out if you haven't already. Like I've said, we will be reviewing that. I'll be recording that later tonight, and obviously that'll be dropping tomorrow, or like I say, ridiculously late Sunday night. But ridiculously late Sunday night for you guys is ridiculously early Monday for me. So either way, it'll be released at some point during the 24-hour span that is Monday, and hopefully so will NWA 73 if we can get into it with enough gusto. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy NWA 73. Please don't sleep on the pay-per-view. Don't forget also, if you're on Fight TV, you can subscribe to watch NWA Power, which is their weekly show, kind of like their version of Raw, so to speak, only obviously much, much better, because Raw is fucking AIDS. Is what it is. But yeah, check it out. And if you do have a little bit of moolah, if it is before 1 a.m. UK time, and I believe 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern in America, if you are watching this right before the show and think, do you know what, actually, I'd love to give it an opportunity, and I do have the cash, Fight TV. You can download the app, you can stream it to your TV via a Chromecast or whatever, or you can watch it on a tablet. You know the score at this point. You know how technology works. If you're watching me on a tablet or a phone or whatever it is, then you know how to get Fight TV. I believe it's, like I say, $20, $25. And frankly, I think it'll be worth the purchase, because NWA, if nothing else, will give you a high quality level of wrestling. Enjoy the show, ladies and gentlemen. I've been Aaron X, and I'll catch you very soon for more content from the WrestlePlug.